What is going on, everyone? My name is Nick Jaime. Thank you for tuning in this week. This is the WDLJ Internet Radio announcement. Let's get on with it, shall we? So, there are only 2 days left in the Anonymous Pedal Creations Tiny Dictator pedal giveaway. Whew! 2 days left. So I challenge you to go, and if you have not done so already, go and enter. There are about 7 ways to enter this contest. WDLJradio.rocks/giveaways. And we will be picking a lucky winner and announcing that on the July 4th episode of the WDLJ Internet Radio announcement. So please, and thank you to everybody who has entered to win this contest, and thank you to everyone who has taken the time to subscribe and check out everything that I'm doing. And this is your chance to get a slice of American history that is created by Anonymous Pedal Creations. They work tirelessly, and they have created an awesome website, and Mike has also created a t-shirt logo for us, which it's pretty awesome. And speaking of t-shirts, we have a few more t-shirts. One was designed by Cassie Lee Photography. Cassie Lee Lark, thank you very much. And I threw my logo in the ring, my stab at it, and it's basically my saying that I say and at the end of every video. And apparently it is a little too vulgar for Facebook because I had to change a little bit of wording in that. But if you get a chance, please go to cafepress.com/WDLJ Radio and check out the t-shirts. Plus, we're going to be adding another one here pretty soon. I asked a couple weeks ago for a metal version of WDLJ, and I got it. So we're putting the finishing touches on that, and we're going to be putting it up soon. And thank you. Maybe you can get a little peek of it here real quick. So with the July 4th episode as well, I might as well just tell you right now, because I've been sitting on this and I've been really quiet. We were fortunate enough to get permission to play Explosions in the Sky from Temporary Residence Limited, that record label. I reached out to them. I'm a huge fan of Explosions in the Sky, and I found it only fitting that we dedicate that day to that band because they are ridiculous. And if you have never heard of Explosions in the Sky, you're in for an awesome treat. They will be taking over all day Tuesday, the 4th of July. So more details on the playlist that I'm going to be putting together, but essentially we're going to be playing every album that I have. So I'm really happy to have to dedicate that day. Also, let's get into the Artist of the Week playlist, right? So this week is really, really special because I reached out. There was a band that I like, and I'll get to those guys later on, but there's a band that I really, really enjoy, and they are on a label called Polyvinyl Records. Polyvinyl Records has been around since the late 90s. They're from Champaign-Urbana. They have done things their own way for as far as I can remember. They are very down to earth, and they have a smaller roster than most labels. And I feel the reason for that is that they can kind of give attention to the bands that they have on their label really well. And I reached out to them to play this one band in particular, but their promotions director emailed me back and was really excited about what the project that we're doing and everything, and he sent me a list of artists. So this week is the Polyvinyl Takeover. They are going to be the entire playlist. All of this whole playlist is going to be Polyvinyl recording artists, and I'm really happy. So thank you, Rob from Polyvinyl, for hooking it up and for getting such a ton of material for the station. So this week we have, starting off, Hazel English. The track I'm going to be playing is called Other Lives. This track reminded me of churches, but not as electronic and not as cluttered. Her album, Just Give In, Never Going Home, was released just recently, and I really dig it. This is the first track on that. It's a double EP that was put together, and this is the first track on it, and I really enjoy it. Next, we have Beach Slang, who have been around for quite a while. They're from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We're going to be playing the track Art Damage from the album A Loud Bash of Teenage Feelings. They are currently in Europe, but they are coming back to the States to continue their tour in America, looks like mid-July. And looks like they're going to be playing Riot Fest in Chicago in September. So be sure to check those out. Check those guys out if you are in the area, the Chicagoland area. From Oakland, California, we have JSOM, who this kind of sounded to me like a little bit of Sonic Youth, and Everybody Work is the name of the album, and I heard the track 1 Billion Dogs, and that's kind of what the track reminded me a lot of Sonic Youth, and she has that. There are tracks on there that range from electronic pop to old school late 90s grunge, and it's definitely a really good sampling of all different kinds of music. Next, we have Palehound. They are from the Boston area. Their sophomore album just came out, A Place I'll Always Go. If you Met Her is the track that we're going to be playing this week. I didn't get a chance to listen to the whole thing just yet, but this is the track that really stuck out to me, and I liked it. That was released on June 16th. So since then, they have actually been touring, and they've been on the road, and they are doing nonstop show after show after show after show. So they're booked up, and which is awesome. So if you get a chance, if Palehound comes to your area, please be sure to check them out. Next, we have the world's best American band. Yes, the world's best American band, White Reaper. Their album, The World's Best American Band, it was just released, and this has a sound kind of like that late 80s rock vibe to it. Just fucking power rock that is just... the first thing that I heard, because the title track is the name of the album too, The World's Best American Band, they sounded to me like Cheap Trick, like right off the rip. And they just have a 4/4 steady beat on this track. And it's a bygone era of rock and roll. And I think when I read their bio, why would you say that you are the world's best American band? And the singer just said, just because we are. That's what we are. So it takes balls to say something like that, but at the same time, I think it's also, this is a bygone era of having that ego. Bands don't seem to have that kind of flat out ballsiness, but and maybe it's as a joke, but they rock. And I believe one of the guys from My Morning Jacket helped produce this album as well. Next, we have Julia Jacklin from Sydney, Australia. She is also on the Polyvinyl roster. She released Don't Let the Kids Win, and I think Polyvinyl is taking the North American distribution part of this album. We're going to be playing the track Pool Party. When I listened to a majority of this album, and it took me back to an era of music that from like the 50s and early 60s, kind of like if you heard the past artist Meanwood, they were on probably several months ago, probably in March, Meanwood, and it is very nostalgic, is probably the only way I can describe it. To me, when I heard this album, I thought the collection of songs were eventually going to break character. I thought that that at some point she was going to break musical character and do it something different. But she was consistent through the whole piece that I heard, and it was pretty impressive, because to most artists like this kind of get bored with it, and they end up having 1 or 2 or 3 tracks that change up genres just so it doesn't seem the same. But this album, she maintained it all the way through, and she is touring all over the place. And from what I saw, like, 1 week she's in Europe, 1 week she's in America, the next week she's in Canada, the next week she's in America, and then she's in, Stockholm, Sweden. I mean, she's really working this. So, Julia Jacklin, the track is called Pool Party. Next, we have Alvvays from Toronto, Canada. They are releasing their album, Anti-Socialites, and that's not due until September of this year. But Polyvinyl was gracious enough to give us their single that they've been working on, and it's called In Undertow, and it's really, really good. It has a wall, like, soon as the first chords pop in, it just feels like a wall of sound, and it's very very big. And I can compare it to Slow Dive's release that just came out a couple months ago, and it's huge. And once, I believe they're starting their tour in August in Chicago, and it looks like Lollapalooza time frame, Grant Park. So they're going to be starting their tour then. So I can only assume that they're spending these last few months before that preparing this album so it can probably get mixed and mastered so it's released in September. But I've never really seen a band really just go off a single and then just have, all these tour dates leading up to it. But that's a pretty cool way to do it. Lastly, we have the band Strfkr, which is the reason why I reached out to Polyvinyl in the first place. So Strfkr has been around for over 10 years. They have had several name changes, from Strfkr to Pyramid with 2 Ds to STRFKR. So these guys are from Portland, Oregon, and I originally heard them from the same person who introduced me to Johnny Polygon, and it was around that same time, around like 2010, and I heard the song. I'm going to butcher this name, Ronald Gregory Erickson II. Now, this track was everywhere. Like, after I heard it, it's one of those things where you hear a song and you're like, damn, that's really good. And then you hear it everywhere else, and then you're like, oh, shit, like, this is a popular song. I thought I was cool, right? But they're a good band, and it's interesting to hear that song of what they sounded like almost 10 years ago to what we have today, which is the album Being No One, Going Nowhere. The band has definitely evolved into almost a completely different band. And if you couldn't distinguish that singer's voice, that's probably the only thing really keeping it kind of similar to then to now. So yeah, I like this band a lot. And I remember watching videos of them, and they did it very organically back in the day. This album, the Bring No One, Going Nowhere, is very electronic, and it's very dance sounding, dance music, electronic oriented, but it still kind of has that vibe that brings it to it. So there, in a nutshell, we have a whole heaping list of Polyvinyl recording artists that are going to be filling the playlist this week. Remember to tune into our playlist. It's going to be Wednesday through Tuesday at 3, 7, and 11 a.m. and p.m. at wdljradio.rocks, or you can download that wonderful, glorious app. And so download the app, check it out. It's got everything in there. I think that's all I got for you guys today. Remember, respect yourself, respect everyone, don't be an asshole, and I will see you next week. Later.